Well, today what I'm going to be doing is working on restoring this little school chair. So this restoration project is a labour of love for me, really. My dad got me this when I was about 3 years old. So what am I now? Nearly 60. So 57 years ago, when my dad passed away when I was 13. I remember this chair so well. And then all of a sudden, it kind of got lost. But when I cleared out my mum's house recently, I came across it. So it's in terrible disrepair. Look at that. It's all split here. It's been put back together with some big old nails. But I love this chair. It's got a lot of memories for me. The nursery school that I was at shut down because a new, much more modern one opened. And my dad bought this one of the chairs that they were selling off. So I love it. I do love it. So I'm going to try and restore it into a great and safe little practical chair. The first thing I need to do is take some of these nails off, that's for sure, and these nails sticking out. How these got in there, who knows? It might have been me, but I really don't know. So I'm going to try and lift these up, pull these out without doing too much more damage to it. I think they should come out. Yeah, that one is definitely coming out quite easy. And that, I think, because the wood is very dry and very split. And that one's out. This one here, sure how that one's going to come out. Oh, and they're so rusty. Look at that. So now it's going to be a case of getting those other nails out. So once I've got those out and I've got the legs separated from this, I'll show you what I'm going to do next. Well, I've got most of the nails out now, but there are just a few little tricky ones that I can't seem to get out. There also is some wood that has been spliced and glued onto this to fill these gaps up when they were made, these gaps here, because the seat is obviously slightly smaller than the frame of the legs. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my Dremel with an almost, well, it's an angle grinder attachment on it. Cut through those nails to allow me to get this out. And there we go, that's all out. I can now pull these nails out of here. Probably will come out really easily, like that. And I can see the shape here of the piece that I need to cut out of a thin slice of wood for when I put this back in, because I'm going to actually remove that. So that's all the nails out of there. Oh, look at the state of that. It's not looking good, is it? So there we go, that's all the nails out. The rest of it is actually in quite good condition. Take the nails out of this side and this bit. Now I'm going to remove this here, which is these filler bits. I think they must have been original nails. So now I've got those out, what I'm going to do is I've got a gap here and here. So I'm going to plug those, but before I do that, what I want to do is open this one up a little bit more to allow me to get a chunk of wood in there rather than doing lots of little bits of wood, because that'll give it a little bit more strength rather than trying to fill all these tiny little holes. I am going to have a few holes to fill, but I'd rather not be filling tiny little holes where the integrity of the structure is, where the seat joins the legs. Okay, so that should be fine now. And what I can do is start to glue these bits all in and together. And now I'm going to use proper wood glue for this, because it really does create an amazing bond. And I want to be quite generous with it, because ultimately I can rub it off once it's done, but it's a lot easier to rub it off than to add it afterwards. I will still have a bit of filling to do. And now all I've got to do is clamp that on. And then I'll leave that to dry, and I'll do the same this side as well in that gap there. I've got it's that bit that's going in there. So for the legs, I've only really got one major gap, and then I've got quite a bit of here splitting. So what I'm going to do for this is I'm going to fill that major gap there in the same way as I've done the top. But this bit, what I'm going to do is put some glue in all these splits and then clamp it together. I want to make sure it gets right in there as well, not just on the edges. It's right into the middle of all this. And again, I don't mind if I'm using too much glue, because I can always scrape it off and clean it off once it's dry. I don't know what I'm going to do with this once I've finished it. Obviously, I'm far too big for it now. What I might do is put it somewhere as a little display piece. And if I ever get any grandkids, which I very much doubt, then I can let them have it, or someone could have it with a little teddy sitting on it or something. Now, there is a slight split there. I may put a bit in of that. No, I'm not sure it will take it. Yeah, that looks good. And I'm going to do the same this side. And then leave it to dry overnight, so making sure it's got a really good bond. Well, these are all dry now, and I let them dry overnight. So I can take these clamps off. Look, you can see that that is nice and cured now, and it's all got back to how it should be. And the same for that one as well. That's the one that was all split, but now it's all nice and down really well. Now I'm going to resurface all these legs and all the bits apart from this bit here. And the reason is that has got its name and the maker's details on, and I don't want to take that off. So I am going to go over this with a scraper and scrape off all this varnish that's on here that has gone yellow over time and changed the colour of this chair. And then once I've gone over and scraped as much off as I can, I'm going to sand this down. Now I did have a metal scraper somewhere, but for the life of me I can't find it. So this one is going to have to do. So I've given that a good scrape. I'm just going to clean up this dust now, and then what I'm going to do is fill all the holes and glue those little side bits on before I give it a really good sanding and ready to put it together and give it a good varnish. So I'm ready to fill this now, and all I'm going to be using is wood filler to fill this. I want to get it in there as deep as I can, give it as much structural integrity as I can into these holes, because we're going to have to re-screw back into the legs onto the actual seat, because I don't want it to keep falling off. That's in there now. I've already done that side. I've also put that wood in as well, so that'll help to strengthen it, and it'll also help when I come to screwing in the legs. Leaving that a little bit raised for when I come to sand it, then I can sand it flush. That's both sides of that dry. Now I just need to do these sides. Once that's dry, I can then put my little shivs on that I've made for either side. Okay, so that's all now nice and dry and everything, and all I'm going to do is go around this whole chair and give it a good sand using, this is a 80 grit, then I'll go to 250, then 220, just to get it nice and smooth. I've finished sanding this now as much as I want to sand it. I could carry on and get all these little marks out and these little dents and things and completely smooth off this bit, but then I think I'd be trying to make it look brand new, and it isn't brand new. I want it still to have some of that, I suppose, authenticity to it of what it used to look like. Just look a little bit more refreshed and restored. So before I go on out, I need to put these shivs in here, which is where there were some before, but they completely crumbled away. And all I'm going to use for that is some good old wood glue. Spread that about a bit with my finger, and then pop that on there. And then put a clamp on either side to make sure that has got a really good contact. I'll do the same this other side, and then let that dry overnight, and then I can start to varnish and finish off the chair. So now it's time to give it its first coat of varnish. I'm going to use gloss varnish because it was originally a gloss finish. And I'm not going to screw it together until I've got it all varnished up. And as you can see, when you put the varnish on, it does give it that slightly darker look, which I like, which takes it back to how it was before. And you can still see some of the dips and things in it. I'm using a brush, trying to brush it on nice and evenly. Once it's all coated, I'm going to let it dry and then give it a light sand and give it a second coat. And then I will show you how I'm going to put it back together. Well, this is nearly finished now, and it's just having another about hour of drying, and then I'll be ready to put it together. I want to use the original screws, but they're very rusty. So what I'm going to do is I put them in this little pot, and I'm going to give them a quick spray with WD-40 and let them soak for about half an hour. And then once they've soaked, I can go over them with a wire brush and give them a good clean up. And then I can use them again. Well, I've cleaned up all the screws and I'm ready to now put this back together. What I'm doing first is drilling some holes through here to pass the screws through. That way it's not going to split, and also it's going to make putting these screws in so much easier. And I'm also going to countersink them as well, a little bit on there, for the head of the screw to sink into. And now all I got to do is screw those in. And they're nice and flush now, and as you can see, nice and clean. So I'm going to finish those off, and then I'll show you what it looks like completely done. All finished now, and while this doesn't look like a brand new chair at all, what it does look like is it looks like it's going to last now for perhaps another 50 years. I didn't want it to look brand new because I think that would have taken away from all the memories and everything that I have with it. But it is all nice and clean, stable, and I'm sure it's safe. And I'm only little, so I fit on it really well. I'm going to put that somewhere that I can look at it and really do appreciate it, because it does remind me so much of my dad. Oh, 60-year-old soppy old man I am. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this project and it hasn't been boring for you. If you've liked this project, then I've got a really exciting one coming up for you now on upcycling. So check that video out, boot the like button, hit the subscribe button, but most of all, enjoy your crafting. Take care. Bye.